The difference between the one who can kill only the body and afterwards we do no more, and the one who can kill both the body and the soul is simply this. One has temporal power and the other has eternal power. And that is why Jesus is calling us today to fear that one who has eternal power. Remember when Herod was pontificating with his power, when he heard that a new king has been born to challenge his throne, Herod became afraid and gave out order that every born child from 2 years down, every born male child in Israel from 2 years down should be slaughtered. And they were killed. In fact, Herod was one of the most terrible tyrants in history. A Jewish historian called Josephus said that in the Jewish culture, in the Jewish land of Herod's time, it is safer to be a pig in the house of Herod than to be a child of Herod. If you be a pig in the house of Herod, you will live a longer life than being a child in the house of Herod. Because by Jewish dietary law, Herod is not permitted to eat pig. And because he's not permitted to eat pig, he's not going to kill you. But Herod was such a terrible tyrant that he killed his children, killed his wife, and killed many people. In fact, according to Josephus, when Herod was about to die, he discovered that after his death, that nobody will mourn him, nobody will cry for him. He gave order that all the noble men in Israel should be arrested and imprisoned. Then after his death, that all of them should be slaughtered. So that as people are crying for the death of those noble men, it will be taken to mean that people are mourning him. That is to tell you how such a tyrant he was. But do you know what? Why Joseph, Mary, and Jesus were in Egypt, running away from Herod's murderous quest? A message from an angel came, telling Joseph, rise, take your wife and your son, and go back to Israel. For Herod, who wanted to kill this child, is no more. Meaning that the power of Herod is a temporal power. He cannot rule forever. And Jesus is telling us, we don't need to fear such people. In the year 1998, John Paul II was in Nigeria on a papal visit. During that time, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president of Nigeria, and so many other military personnel were imprisoned by Abacha. And Pope John Paul II, when he visited Nigeria in 1998, went to Abacha. After meeting with him, he pleaded with him to release Obasanjo and the rest. Abacha said, no way. He's not going to release them. He kept them in prison. Pope left. After a little period, Abacha became a dead man. Those he refused to release from prison were brought out from prison. And Obasanjo went on to become the president of Nigeria. And the rest is history. This will tell you that the power of Abacha is what? Temporal. While the power of God is eternal. So we are not meant to fear those who have temporal powers. Those who can be today and tomorrow they are no more. In history, there are terrible names that when you hear the stories associated with such names, you will shudder in horror. Talk of Idi Amin of Uganda. Idi Amin of Uganda was one of the most brutal tyrants in history. In fact, Time magazine, a popular magazine in America, ran a documentary about this man. And the documentary was titled The Wild Man of Africa. Idi Amin of Uganda was regarded as the wild man of Africa. It was said that if you enter his house, a particular refrigerator is always stuffed with human flesh. He eats human flesh. He will see your wife and he will give order to his military men to kill you and slaughter you and put in his fridge as meat for pepper soup. Why he will marry your wife. If you challenge him, you'll be in trouble. But today, where is Idi Amin of Uganda? Where is he? 6 feet beneath the ground. Human power is temporal. God's power is eternal. Think of Hitler, one of the most terrible tyrants in history. This man got up one day and decided to exterminate the Jewish race. And he ended up killing about 6 million Jews. Today, where is Hitler? 6 feet below the ground. God's power is eternal. Man's power is temporal. A certain man visited a graveyard. When he entered the graveyard, he was looking around the graveyard. And then he was reading names of people buried in the graveyard. He could not believe the names he saw there. He saw names of powerful men, great and mighty men, sleeping coldly in the grip of death. And then this man shook his head and made a powerful statement and said, when I look upon the tombs of the great, those great men, when I look upon their tombs where they are lying cold in death, the man says, every emotion of envy dies in me. Those mighty men, those great men, those powerful men who are now powerless, who are now rendered the food for worm and termites. He said, every emotion of envy dies in me. And then the man went on to say, when I read the epitaphs of the beautiful, those beautiful souls, the likes of Mother Teresa of Calcutta, the likes of Nelson Mandela, who gave their life for the good of his people, the likes of St. Anthony of Padua, the likes of Bishop Shanahan, the likes of those gorgeous, beautiful, sweet souls, the man will say, every inordinate desire dies off. And the man went on to say, when I see rival wits, this is the most interesting part. When I see rival wits placed side by side, or those mighty men, those powerful men who divided our world with their contests and disputes. Imagine coming to a graveyard and you see the tomb of Buhari, the tomb of Peter Obi, the tomb of Tinubu, the tomb of Yaradua, the tomb of Nnamdi Azikiwe, the tomb of Atiku, and all these great politicians who are dividing our world with their contests and disputes. The 2023 election brought a terrible new law in our national life as a country. Where Yoruba people rose against Igbo. Igbos rose against Hausa. We were divided across ethnic and tribal lines because our politicians wanted to divide us in order to achieve their political goal. Imagine coming one day and seeing these men placed side by side in their tombs, lying cold in death, all their earthly power stripped away from them. So the man says, when I see rival wits or great men who divided our world with their contests and disputes placed side by side, I begin to reflect on the little debates, factions, and competitions of mankind. All this struggle, all this contest, all this struggle and fight. So it has ended here, just here. And the man says, when I read the dates on the tombs, dates written on the tombs of men, of some that died 600 years ago, and some that died just yesterday. The man says, I remember that great day when we shall all of us be contemporaries and make our appearance together. Time will come when all of us will become age mates. For you that was born in 1980 something, you that was born in the year 2000, and all of us become age mates. No more elder, no more child. That will tell you that human power is temporal. God's power is eternal. And Jesus is telling us today, don't fear that one who can only destroy the body and afterwards does no more. Fear the one who can destroy both the body and soul. Yeah. Today I am your manager. And I exercise authority over you. I can flog you. I can tell you to kneel down. I can expel you. Fine. Tomorrow you can become the governor of my state. And you can even arrest me and imprison me. Yeah. Human power is temporal. God's power is eternal. I cannot be a manager forever. Time will come when your position and status will be above that of me. Yes. Tomorrow you may be the chief justice of this nation. You may be the judge in a law court where I will be tried. And when I enter your law court, you say, this wicked man, I will sentence you to life imprisonment. And then that is it. One day I may find myself in your hospital where you are the CMD, the chief surgeon, and I'm brought into your theater. You will say, wicked Father Jude, heartless man, this is my time to pay you back. You pick your medical equipment and cut my internal organs and end my life. That is life for you. So what I'm telling you is this. Whenever you exercise power and authority, always have it at the back of your mind that human power is what? Temporal. God's power is eternal. Always have it at the back of your mind. Whether you like it or not, one day old age will humble you. Will make you humble. If you read Psalm 90 made it so poignant when he said, Lord, let us know the shortness of our life, that we might do what? Gain wisdom. Human power is the temporal. One day, you will see your dad, that whenever he backs, everybody will run away. Your mom, whenever he comes, one day, your mom will become so weak that you will even be the one giving her birth, washing her body, putting napkin and pampers on your mother or your father. Yeah, there are many more. That is life for you. That is life for you. A certain woman met me one day and told me something that broke my heart. This woman told me, Father, I can never love my husband in this world. I said, why are you saying something like this? He said, my husband was the most terrible and wicked man I ever met in my life. What happened? This woman told me that when she was a young girl, her father was a tyrant, a Hitler in the house. Very mean and wicked. That the way the father was treating her and her other siblings made her to take to early marriage. This woman married at the age of 17. When she married at the age of 17, she never knew that she entered from frying pan to fire. The man he married became Hitler. That is a male Jezebel. Terrible, wicked man. This woman told me that this man, who was her husband, was flogging her. Sometimes the man will lock her inside the room. Sometimes the man will starve her. Sometimes the man will do all manner of terrible things to her. But in all these things, she never ran away because she can't bear to withstand her father again. She can't leave the husband to go to her father who was wicked and terrible. Now, the time this woman was telling me this, her father was dead. The husband in question was now sick and bedridden. And this woman is still very strong and agile. This woman, if she decides to carry the husband and smash him on the ground, he can do it. At that moment, the husband is no longer powerful. Human power is temporal. God's power is eternal. And Jesus is telling us today, don't fear only that man who can destroy only the body, and afterwards do no more. You may do certain things in this school. I will ask you, who did that? You will not say the truth because Father Jude will flog you. My power is temporal. I can only flog you and nothing more. But God can punish you beyond the endurance of your body. Even your soul. Because your soul has an immortal life. Because your soul is gifted with immortality. Do something that will guarantee the salvation of your soul. Fear the one who has power to cast you into eternal fire, where you shall never come out forever. If you read the book of Daniel, chapter 13, you will encounter a very interesting story. The story of a very beautiful woman called Susanna. Very beautiful and attractive woman. The wife of Joachim, a wealthy man. One day, two elders who were judges in the house of Joachim saw this beautiful woman, Susanna, and they fell in love with her. They started desiring to have an affair with her, to sleep with her. Now, this woman, being a woman that fears God, was unwilling to yield to their demands. One day, this woman entered the garden the beautiful garden in their house to take a walk and possibly take a bath. As she was going around the garden, she sent her maidens to lock the garden gate and wait for her while she takes her bath. Unknown to her that the two elders were hiding somewhere in the garden. The moment this woman was about to pull off her clothes to take her bath, the two wicked elders jumped out from nowhere and invaded her and told her, agree to sleep with us, and no ear will hear it. But if you don't agree to sleep with us, we will lay false accusation against you and tell the king that we caught you with a man. This woman found herself in a dilemma, and she said, if I agree to sleep with this man, it is still death, because Jewish law has made it a crime to engage in adultery. If you are caught in adultery, you'll be stoned to death. And then the second point was that if she refuses to sleep with these men, they will level false accusation against her. And then she will still be stoned to death. However, it is better I refuse to sleep with them so that I will not offend the Almighty God, so that my own soul will be intact, than to sleep with them and then have God destroy my soul forever. And this woman became courageous and brave and decided to accept that terrible fate and told them, I'm not going to sleep with you. And those said, I started shouting, we caught you, we caught her with a man. Of course, thanks to God, Daniel came to the judgment throne and saved the day. If not for Daniel, that woman would have died a painful death. If you also go to 2nd book of Maccabees, chapter 6, you will listen to the story of a very noble elderly man called Eleazar. Eleazar was 90 years old, and he was arrested and compelled to eat pork meat. Now, in the Jewish nation of that time, pork meat was considered a taboo. Their dietary law forbade any man to eat pork meat. Now, when this man was arrested, his friends came to him and told him, we are your friends. We will give you opportunity to bring along with you any meat of your choice. If you like, bring chicken. If you like, bring turkey. If you like, bring goat meat. However, when you are eating it, eat it in the presence of people, so that people will think you are eating pork meat, so that others will agree to eat pork meat. This elderly man, at a very advanced age, said, why should I do that? Look at the statement he made. Very inspiring statement. The man said, let me read it for you. Very inspiring statement. The man said, Eleazar said, but Eleazar made a decision worthy of his gray hair and advanced age. All his life, he had lived in perfect obedience to God's holy laws. So he replied, kill me here and now. Such deception is not worthy of a man of my years. Many young people would think that I had denied my faith after I was 90 years old. If I had pretended to eat this meat just to live a little while longer, it will bring shame and disgrace on me and lead many young people astray. For the present, this is the most interesting. For the present, I might be able to escape what you could do to me. But whether I live or die, I cannot escape Almighty God. It continued. If I die bravely now, it will show that I deserve my long life. It will also set a good example of the way young people should be willing and glad to die for our sacred and respected laws. If I do what you want me to do, I might escape your judgment for now, but I shall never escape the judgment of God, because God is eternal. God can never vacate his throne. But any worldly leader will vacate his throne one day. Even if you want to rule till you die, you will die. No human being has ever lived beyond 150 years. No human being has ever lived beyond 150 years. So even if you want to become a life president or a life leader of your country, one day your time will be up. You will die. And that will be the end of it. So if you understand this, then you know where to place your fear. You know whom to fear. God's power is eternal. Human power is temporal. Martin Luther King Jr. made a very wonderful statement when he said, the arc of moral universe is long, but at the end of the day, it does what? It bends towards justice. So, no matter what you do in this world, you can never escape the judgment of God. I don't know the man who said, in a world owned and ruled by God, evil can never have the final say. In a world owned and ruled by God, evil can never have the final say. So, my beloved students, I want to plead with you. Never you do anything that will compromise the salvation of your soul. Never you. One day you may rise up and bear false witness against somebody because you are afraid of the judgment of the world. You may escape temporarily, but you will never escape eternal punishment. Never you. A young man, a young Russian boy called Raskolnikov, one day got up and went to the house of a palm broker, an elderly woman who has amassed an immense wealth doing her business. If you bring gold or costly ornament, she will pan it and give you the monetary equivalent. One day, this boy, a young law student who became a dropout for the university, went to this woman's house to steal her money. When he entered the woman's house and wanted to steal the woman's money, an elderly woman, they started struggling. In the course of the struggle, he got a heavy weapon, hit the woman on the head. The elderly poor woman fell immediately and died. Her maid came out. The man also killed the maid. After killing the two of them, he stole the woman's money and ran away. Now, the funny thing, the money he stole, he could not even use it. He went into the bush and hid the money beside a tree and went into his house. Now, police people began their investigation. They did investigation. After every investigation, they could not solve the crime. They closed their file and kept and forgot about the case. Now, do you know what? After many years, was it 10 years or thereabout, this man, that boy who committed that crime, one day got up, entered bedroom, took his bath, came out, combed his hair, applied cream, wore his clothes, dressed smartly, and proceeded to police station. Entered police station and reported himself. Handed himself over to the police people and told them, arrest me. I was the man that killed a certain woman and her maid so many years ago. The police people could not make sense of the confession. They were like, my friend, leave this place with this rubbish tale. He told them, I'm serious. When he began to give details and classified information pertaining to the murder, the police people opened their file and they discovered that the confession and the information he was giving married with the information they have in their file. That was how they arrested the man. Tried him in the law court, convicted him, and put him in prison. And do you know what? While this man was in prison, he began to have a new lease of life. He began to recover. It was discovered that all the while, he had been a prisoner of his conscience. He has never known a single peace. His conscience became a living hell for him because of that crime. It was in prison that he began to experience renewal and healing. And then it was said that the human conscience is the supreme tribunal of morality. You may do any crime in this world and get away with it. But because you have a soul that longs to live, you may escape eternal human punishment, the temporal one. But the eternal punishment will always stare you in the face. That is why most people, when you see them at their point of death, they become religious. They start repenting. Because they know there is something that will meet them. Even when they have left this world, they have left this world. Please, do not fear only the man who can destroy the body, and afterwards we do no more. Fear the one who can destroy both the body and the soul. And because you have a soul, don't compromise. Don't compromise. A certain man was in his house, relaxing with his wife. All of a sudden, gang of robbers invaded their house and started robbing, stealing, and cutting away their property. When they finish with their crime, before they leave, one of the robbers, don't know whether devil entered his head or what, he turned to the man's wife and started smacking his mouth in a wicked way, meaning that he wants to rape the man's wife. And the man, the husband, stood up and told him, if you dare touch my wife, I will kill you here. Two of us will die here. The husband was, the armed robber was like, what? The kind of dirty slap the armed robber gave the man, cocked his gun, thinking he will cover the man. The man stood his ground and told him, if you dare my wife, we'll die here. When the wife saw that the husband was serious, the wife knelt down, started begging the husband, please, I don't want the robbers to kill you. Please, allow them to sleep with me. Let them not kill you, I beg. Please, I don't want to lose you. The husband told the woman, get out of this place. If they dare as much as lay their finger on you, see what will happen. The husband said, over my dead body. So that man is not afraid of the one who will kill only the body and afterwards do no more. He's afraid of the one who will kill both the body and the soul. And that was why he was willing to look those criminals in the face and say, kill me before you touch my wife. How many of you will do that? How many of you? Okay, Chibike says he's going to do that. So girls, watch out for Chibike. He's a husband material. Okay, define. Oh, you see, girls, you see our boys are very careless. So search out for the good ones among them. But the point is this. Fear only the one who can destroy both the body and the soul. A young girl got pregnant out of wedlock. When she discovered she was pregnant, she became afraid. She met with her friends, and her friends told her, baby, you better abort this thing. If you carry this child to term, you are going to scandalize the world. People will laugh at you. You may not even get a good husband tomorrow. You better get rid of this. And this girl was in a dilemma. The dilemma is this: to escape the judgment of the world by aborting this baby. But what about the judgment of God that will punish you forever in eternity? What about the judgment? One day you may find yourself in this kind of dilemma. I will advise you, suffer the shame and the ignominy that comes from the world and escape the worm that comes from God. Because the human judgment is temporal. You can be sentenced to prison. The king that sentenced you might die tomorrow. And you do what? And you gain your freedom. You gain your freedom. There could be a reversal of judgment tomorrow. And you gain your freedom. You can even bribe your way through the kings of this world. But who are you going to bribe when God has a case against you? Who are you going to bribe? Angels. No, if God will have a case against you, who are you going to bribe? Angels. Mary. St. Anthony. You bribe St. Anthony. Eh? It's okay. It's okay. If you are planning on bribing St. Anthony, mind you, you are not going to leave this world with any money. So how then are you going to get the money you used to bribe them? Eh? Through what? Through bread. we get the bread now? I want home I Secretary's bread. Are you going to get it in heaven? We don't have heavenly bakers, so nobody bakes bread in heaven. Nobody bakes bread in heaven. So since you now know that there is no way you can bribe God, because God is the owner of the world and its fullness. There is nothing you can give God that God doesn't have. God even owns you and everything in the world. You cannot bribe God. But you can bribe the kings of this world. You can bribe them. You can even seduce them. As a beautiful young girl, you can go to a king the way Salome danced before Herod, and King Herod lost it. He didn't know where he promised her half of his wealth, and even was willing to behead John the Baptist just to. So you can't even go before. Where will you see God for you to be doing like this? I'm trying to seduce God. Eh? And God is not a man with flesh and sexual needs. You see, it will not work. It will not work. So, and God is not vacating his throne anytime soon, because his throne is eternal. But the man's human throne is a temporal one. Today, we have Tinubu. Tomorrow, you have another president. Yesterday, we have Buhari. Day before yesterday, we have Jonathan. Day before, some years back, we have Yaradua. Many years back, we had Obasanjo. Many years back, we had Abacha. And now, we have Tinubu. So, the human power is temporal, but God's power is eternal. So I will advise you, fear God, who can destroy both the body and the soul. And don't fear the man who can destroy only the body, and afterwards we do no more. Peace be with you.